now is looking at the revising stage. I'm just kind of halfway through. What is revising? July.
It's like, he knows.
Okay. Chris, do you want to help us out with that?
Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brian. Chris is over here. Yep, Brian.
It's like looking over.
Looking over, right? Literally, that's what it means. Looking over, right? Chris, then, what else does revising mean?
Kind of like previewing. Kind of, yeah. I forgot.
In a way, I think I know what you're getting at. It's where you look over, okay, you look back over your writing, but with an eye towards doing what? Making it better, and how, specifically? What do you look at during revising?
Mistakes.
Maybe?
Punctuation.
Okay, Veha just walked into the big trap. That's editing. When you look at punctuation, grammar, and stuff like that, which is good, okay? But that's gonna come later. What happens before that?
You read it.
Yeah, and to correct mistakes, but what do you look at? You're not looking at punctuation, grammar, that's like the icing on the cake. Okay? That's later, that's the editing.
Information.
Yeah, information, alright? What about it? You read through it and you decide to change something. Why would you change it?
Maybe it's not good enough.
What is it, Veha?
Make it sound better.
Make it sound better, okay? That's a thought. You read it out loud and say, oh, that doesn't sound good. Let me change it around a little bit. What were you going to say, Chris? I said it again. I'm sorry. You should hit me. Excuse me. What were you going to say? Okay. No? All right. All right.
Chris?
July.
Yeah.
During revising, what else do we do? How things sound.
We add stuff.
You can
More
add stuff.
information.
More information. Good. Okay. What if you have too much stuff in there? What do you do?
Delete.
You delete. You take it away. Okay. That's enough warm up there. I'm going to pass out this here. Do you mind taking one of these and kind of moving it around? What you have here in front of you, we'll wait till okay. What we have here is a little slip of paper which is going to help us in the revision process, the process of revising. It has room for the reviewer's name and the author's name. Okay, so in this case, if Brian and I are working together, Brian, right? Got it. Okay. If Brian and I are working together, if I'm going to be reviewing Brian's work, I'm going to list my name under reviewer and then his name under author, and then vice versa for when he reviews my work. Okay. During the revision process, we're going to be working with partners. Okay. Typically the person next to you. So for starters, Brian and I will work together, and then Chris and Nancy, and then July and Veha. But before we do that, I want to demonstrate together with Brian how this works, okay, to give you an idea. First of all, I should ask, how many of you, July, how many of you besides July have done this before? Veha, you have?
Everyone should raise their hand because you did this in my class.
This kind of
Oh, yeah.
reviewing, right? Okay, all right. So this shouldn't be altogether new, but I think that Brian and I should still demonstrate for everyone else's benefit how this is going to work. So, okay. After filling in the reviewer and author, the reviewer is going to July. The reviewer is going to listen to the author read his or her story, and then respond and say, well, one thing I really liked about your story, Brian, is and then I do have a question though, and one question that I have is, and then I'm going to give a suggestion. Okay? So let's who wants to go first? You or me? Okay. All right. So I'll start. So if you could fill in the reviewer,
Alright.
I'll
Wait,
put
we have
myself
to
down
read
as
it
the
out
author.
loud?
It would be easiest because that's how you notice mistakes if it doesn't make sense.
Shouldn't they read it and then we read theirs?
Well, they're the ones who read it. I'll demonstrate. Is that okay, Nancy? Okay. And then if you can think of something better, I'd be happy to entertain that thought. Here we go. Okay. So I'm the author here, and you're the reviewer. Ready? Okay. All right. It was in September 1979. Jimmy Carter in the White House, if anyone remembers him. I do to a point. School started well after Labor Day. My former classmates had already gone back. It made for a fairly lonely time, but I came to enjoy that feeling. It was the beginning of a great adventure, a new school, as evidenced by the difficulty I had opening my locker. My first experience was putting theory into practice. The locker combination had been issued on that pastel green and white macro computer paper whose scraps somehow supplied schools throughout the 1970s. Among other things, I had to buy a separate lock for PE. It was a master lock that came with instructions. The regular locker, though, didn't have any instructions, but I made a theoretical leap of faith, and then it was time for lunch, and that's all I had time for. So,
Oh, that's it?
yep.
Oh. Alright.
So, Ryan, what do you think?
I'm writing it down.
Oh, well, you have to tell me, so everyone else could see how it works.
One thing I like the vocabulary used and the detail.
Oh, okay. That's two things already.
Yeah.
Okay. What questions do you have about
Why do you have trouble opening your locker?
why I had trouble? So maybe I should explain that a little more. Okay. So that's a good idea. Why don't you write that down? One question I have, so I would know.
And one suggestion I have is to finish it.
To finish it? Okay. Is there a direction that I should take it? Should I just stick to the locker and locker only, or maybe just talk about the whole
Talk
day at
about
school?
other
or what?
stuff.
Other
the
stuff?
day.
Like the whole first day at school. Okay. Okay, that's a thought. I'll think about it. If you could write that down there too. There it goes in the suggestion box.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Wait.
That's alright. Okay. While Brian's finishing up, this is how it works. The individual, the author, reads to the reviewer. The reviewer states one thing that he or she liked, asks a question, at least one, and then offers a suggestion. The suggestion should be a serious suggestion. It shouldn't be, well, I'm not even going to give a negative example, but it should be a constructive suggestion, something that the writer could really use. So for example, what Brian suggested was useful. He suggested that, you know, the locker it's a great story and all that, but maybe the whole day at school could make for a more exciting, kind of a richer story than just talking about opening a combination locker. And he's right. What questions do you have about the peer revision process? Should we get started? Okay. After, if you're not happy with the partner that you have right now, okay, as Brian, for example, might not be like, how did I get stuck with him? Don't worry, because after we're done, we'll move everything around so that you can have a chance to get a second opinion, maybe even a third opinion if you have enough time, where someone else will review your work. Sounds good? All right, so let's go for it.
Ugly.